Welcome to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and it's my pleasure to be with you again today. Today's show is Love is in the Air, How to Spring Clean Your Dating Profile with my guest, Jessica M. Baker. She's a self-development and relationship guru and founder and CEO of Align Signs. And following an extensive career in the financial industry, Jessica embarked on a personal quest to find meaning in herself and in relationships around her. And through a combination of ancient wisdom and modern psychology, she achieved what she calls total self-awareness and has since dedicated her life to helping others in their personal journeys of self-discovery and fostering deeper, more meaningful relationships with others. Through Align Signs, she has helped tens of thousands of individuals by providing them with the tools to connect with the insight and the people who will help them thrive. And as a leading self-development expert, Jessica is regularly called upon to share lessons from her personal journey and contribute her knowledge on topics relating to self-discovery. So Jessica, welcome to Ask Dr. Love Radio.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. We had a little technical glitch in the beginning, but you saved the day and got your audio working. This Google Hangout, I swear this Google Hangouts technology is going to age me faster than I don't know what, like ripe cheese in the sun. I don't know. Not good. It's not good. It's taken years off the life here. So let's talk a little bit about what happened to you, because it sounds like you went through a personal transformation that completely reoriented the trajectory of your life from financial to personal development. So what happened to you?
Life has a way of, it's kind of like you have your plan in life, and then yeah. I don't know, just nothing in my plan was working like I had envisioned. Let's just say that. Yeah. And so I realized that, you know what, I'm having these hiccups, or what I looked at them as like huge, massive road bumps. And I just thought to myself, well, the plan that I had set out for myself was not what I found fulfilling. And that wasn't something I ever anticipated. And so as a result, it was flowing into all aspects of my life. So not only was I not happy, professionally, but personally, and it was just one big hodgepodge of
crap.
No, yeah, exactly. And on paper it looked great. They're like, oh, Jessica, you're doing such a great job and you're succeeding, and everybody looked at me as so successful and they admired me, and so I felt like I had put all these expectations on myself to continue down this path, and I felt like I was making everybody else proud of me except for myself.
You're describing, I think, the experience of a lot of people in the Western world who go to school and then get on the rat race, and they're working and they're earning money and they're miserable, because they have no time to breathe. And that reminds me of a patient. She used to say, "I'm aggravated and frustrated." Because what are we here for? When we're lying on our deathbeds, nobody's going to say, "Damn, that girl made a lot of money." I mean, we're only going to be remembered for how well we connected and how well we loved. What else is there? So many people are on this horrible rat wheel, and miserable. So was that part of your misery? You were working all the time?
I was working all the time, and I basically just finally came to a point where I realized that, did I really work this hard to get here? And here was technically, a really good spot, and people would look at it and be like, wow, you're so lucky, you're so blessed, you're so, you had so many things to be happy about, but it wasn't the path for me. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't happy, and it took a lot for me to really address the fact that I wasn't happy, even though I was technically supposed to be, and have the courage to, I guess, in some ways, disappoint the people around me that, wanted me to be, this great, financial person, and, they had all these goals for me, but I feel like I'm extremely successful now, but in just a different way, and for others around me to understand that it was quite challenging, but yeah.
How long ago did this whole transformation come about for you?
A little over 3 years. A little
Hmm.
over 3 years. I mean, but it was an ongoing thing. It was an ongoing journey. That's why I call it a journey or an adventure or what you may say, because it was almost like a build up, and I didn't realize it was happening. But it slowly over time, it was becoming less and less. Like, I was excited about my path at first because I thought it'd be uh, the end all be all, and you're at the bottom of the hill and you're looking at the top and you're like, oh, it'd be so great to be at the top of that hill. But then as you're climbing the hill, you're like, well, maybe I don't want to be on this hill. Maybe I want to go skydiving. Maybe I want to go swimming. Maybe I don't want to be climbing this hill at all. And to some extent, I got to the top of the hill and I was like, well, why? I don't really want to be here.
Wait a minute. You thought whose hill is this anyway?
Exactly. Precisely.
There you
So,
go. So you so the next thing that happened for you was you knew you didn't like this hill. This was like mounting, mounting, mounting. You were miserable. You were unhappy. So what happened next? Did you just turn your palms up and say, "I surrender, and I'll just see which way the wind is taking me"? Or what did you do in this state of
um,
flux?
no, I found comfort in control, and so I thought, so I wasn't as liberated as I am now in the sense where I'm like, oh, well, I'll just see how it goes, and whatever. I was more like I found comfort in having a plan and this, that, and the other. So it was really an internal struggle with myself of saying, you know what, I need to let some things go because obviously my strategy for my life isn't working, so I have to try something new. And something new in itself is very scary. And people will ask, okay, well, if you don't want to do finance, what do you want to do? And then I'm like, well, I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know what would make me happy. So, you know, I continued down this journey, plugging along, and did lots of research and talking to people, and just in that process started learning more about myself and what would make me happy and what would help me find fulfillment. And it's an ongoing life process. I don't think that it's point A to point B. It's like all the letters in the alphabet, right? And then you start creating words, and then you create sentences, and then you create paragraphs, and the possibilities are endless. So
And so, at which point did you realize I want to create a new kind of dating website? When did that come about?
I obviously with my research, I thought, okay, well, I want to believe in something that's time tested. I want to find out more about myself, but I want it to have some foundation and some meaning. I don't want to just go around reading for the sake of reading or learning for the sake of learning. I want to actually understand what has been around for a long time and is backed by, many, many years and cultural acceptance and different things like that. And so that's when I started learning more about Western astrology and the Chinese zodiac and the Myers-Briggs personality assessment. And I realized that it was a really good starting point for me to just continue to understand myself and come to terms with who I am and what I like and what I don't like, and just start feeling comfortable really in my own skin and my convictions and my thoughts, and appreciate myself for those. So I thought, well,
See,
why
that's
not? Since I'm,
that's
yeah,
interesting because what you're really saying is from that sense of groundedness, I know what I am, I know what I feel, I know what I want. I mean, ultimately, this led you to create this aligned signed website, but it is paradoxically this same centeredness that helps us find our ideal partners, you know?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I figured, why not bring that to others, because I felt like it was really good for myself. And, when you're really excited about something and something has inspired you and given you positivity in your life, you obviously want to share it. And then I thought, well, why not, connect with others that have done the same, that are on the same kind of level and same kind of understanding and same kind of appreciation for their authenticity, because I genuinely believe that if you can accept all the flaws in yourself or what I consider unique traits, then you're also more open and more empathetic and more, you want that from another person,
You
whether
know,
it be
you're saying something that's very important here. A lot of people miss the power of acceptance, because if you cannot accept yourself and your little warts and flaws, you will never be able to accept another person with his or her warts and flaws. So really, the self-work has to begin with accepting you. Then you're more able to accept the other.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
And so many people's relationships are flawed and fraught with all kinds of conflict because I'm constantly not accepting who you are. I'm constantly trying to change you. And it's, I love you, now change. You know. Right.
Exactly. Or, what bothers me sometimes is when I hear, and I didn't understand it before, but when I hear people say, I'm looking for someone to complete me, or I'm
Oh,
looking for someone to make me happy.
oh, you're
And
in big trouble, right?
um, yeah, because it's almost like you're looking in the wrong direction.
Because you
And
have to be whole. It's sort of like the cup runneth over, right? I am
yes,
filled, and then I'm so filled with love, I have that much more love to give, but I'm not like a broken vessel that's looking to be filled, you know?
right.
Right, because it's always going to drain out anyway. I'm just a sieve then.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not good.
not
Yeah,
good.
not good
So,
for either people in the relationship, whether it be dating or friendships or, you know,
so
all of the above.
you took your journey with the zodiac, the Chinese zodiac, and astrology, and the Myers-Briggs, and you brought all these tools together to create a signs dating site. That's what you're saying?
It's a relationship tool,
Hmm.
and people can use it for dating, for uh, personal relationships, obviously, for friendships, just for networking if they just are interested in learning about different things and people and because I didn't want to limit it because I feel like there's so many relationships that we interact with on a daily basis that help us feel, you know, comfort and inspired and all that stuff and you get that from not only your personal life partner but also from friendships and people around you that you just happen to come across. Like, if a person smiles at you down the street, that adds value. If your neighbor says hello to you, or your coworker, just there's so many people in your life that I feel like add value, and I wanted to not limit that on aligned signs. So yes, absolutely, it can be considered a dating site if that's what you choose to use it for, but it's also where I've personally found friends and people that I've interacted with just to learn more about them, networking and otherwise, and yeah,
You,
so
because all your relationships should be enhancing and fulfilling to you and adding value to your life, not taking away value. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. So we're gonna get more into exactly how the tool works, and because I want to hear all about that. So we're going to be taking a little break in 1 second, and I should warn you because my next segment is what I call Dr. Love's Quickie because it's a short segment. So so when we go into this segment, I usually throw in some tweets, some fun little tweets around the topic to help drive the point home of the show. Maybe give some statistics. So maybe also, who knows? We'll never know what comes to mind. We're just going to go with the flow. I'm going to take a brief break, and I'll be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio. Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf. I'm talking about how to spring clean your dating profile because love is in the air. And this is the time in the show, my quickie. And Jessica, I wanted to lay some statistics out because a lot of people are doing online dating, and that was really the focus. We were going to talk about aligned signs as a dating tool. And did you know
Hmm.
that onlinedatingmagazine.com reported that 20% of Americans have gone out on a date with someone they met on the web? And according to a study from last year, 35% of all new marriages began through online dating. And
Yeah, it's
it's
great.
I know. And another survey found that Americans are spending nearly $1 billion annually on dating services. And last but not least, and this is the most important point that I want to raise because we were talking about authenticity. A study conducted by researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and Cornell University found that 80% of online daters lie about their age, their height, and their weight. Now that sucks. That really sucks. I mean, because it goes to the idea that we're not being genuine. We're not being real with ourselves. We're not being real in the way we present ourselves to others. And what's going to happen? I know I've heard people tell me that they presented their photos from college. Well, what do you think's going to happen when you meet up? And the person realizes you were not being truthful. You Even if this person might have been good for you, you've now ruined your chances. So, are you there? Did I lose you? Oh, Lord, have mercy. Hello? Okay. We lost our guest. What happened to you? Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Hello? I thought you decided you weren't going to date anymore or just
No,
you know
I'm still here.
what
My
happened?
computer has a mind of its own sometimes.
Your computer has what?
Has a mind of its own sometimes.
I tell you what, it's very hard to accept. We're just now you're hardwired for this broadcast, right? You're not doing a wireless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very
I know.
unreliable technology. So I was talking about inauthenticity, and then I just saw that
Mhm.
you faded away there. So so authenticity, we have to be as real as we can be. And I know a lot of people, you might have heard Chris Rock in his stand-up routine. He said, when we go out on a date, you're never meeting that person, you're meeting his representative. So not being real is a real problem. So how does your tool help people to be more real in terms of picking friends or significant others? How does the tool guide people in that direction?
Well, it really, I kind of look at it as there's multifacets to a personality, right? To a person in general. You're a sibling, you're a friend, you're a coworker, you're all sorts of things. And Align Signs helps you connect on a deeper level through three of those facets. And
What are
instead
the
of going out
three?
there, three facets being Chinese zodiac, the Western
Okay.
astrology, the Myers-Briggs personality assessment.
Okay.
And these tools are all time standing and time withstanding rather, and culturally accepted, and basically allows another person to get to know you in a way that you wouldn't normally understand them just by first meeting them, right? Because it's more about intrinsically who you are, your personal preferences, the way you look at the world, the way you interpret information. Um, it's just more of a core rather than saying, "Oh, you like ice cream? I like ice cream too. This is great. We'll totally get along."
We're, we're
It's
compatible.
definitely we're compatible. We're gonna be
All right.
happily ever after.
So
Yeah.
are you saying that what you do is, let's say you have someone who's a prospective partner, you would
Mhm.
use your assessment tools and then have your prospective partner use the tools and then you would see where you align?
Yeah, I mean, basically, so for example, a person can go online and whether, go online, plug in their birth date, the month, the year, the day, find out their sign, their Chinese zodiac sign, their Western astrology sign, find out what all of that means, better understand, um, the depths of the influences of how you make decisions and how other people might perceive you and stuff like that. You can take the Myers-Briggs assessment, which is the leading psychological assessment in the world right now, and just gain a better understanding to your personality result type and how you might interact with others and how you communicate, your strengths, your areas of not weakness but room for improvement. And just gain awareness about who you are, and then potentially meet someone that is compatible and complementary with those aspects of yourself.
Okay,
So
so what we're talking about is awareness, because the better you know yourself, the better you're going to be able to communicate who you are, your thoughts, your feelings, your wishes, and what we're looking for, which a lot of people don't realize when it comes to being compatible, the more similar you are with another person, the more compatible you're going to be. So opposites do attract, but then they end up fighting on every point. So you want to look for people who are matched. We call it homogamous or similar to us in all the areas that matter, like values, religious values, sexual values, financial values, homogamy or similarity. So any tool that helps you become more aware of yourself is a wonderful thing, and then you're able to share that awareness and look for somebody who's similar to you. So I'm just going to take, I'll give you one tweet, and then we're going to take a break, and I'll be back in a second. This tweet is simple: be real, and his or her heart you will steal. I'm going to take a brief break. Be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio. Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm talking about love is in the air and how to spring clean your dating profile with Jessica Baker, founder and CEO of Aligned Signs. So, Jessica, let's talk about what the experience would be like. Somebody comes into your site and says, I want to align myself with someone I'm compatible with. What would he or she see on your site? There would be tests that I would take, right? The Myers-Briggs. Oh, not again. Tell me I didn't lose you again. Oh, this is not working. Oh, Jessica. Did I lose? I lost you again? Oh, this is not working. I'm now aged 10 years on this broadcast. I can't do this. What happened?
can you hear me?
I hear you now. We lost your sound.
I think it accidentally muted itself.
You have to keep your hands off the button. Don't touch that dial.
So embarrassed.
It's not going to mute itself if you don't touch anything. Keep your hands.
Absolutely right.
Sit on your hands, girl.
I apologize.
Oh my God, kids today. Well, Dr. Love, I'm becoming a grandmother now. I've just aged 10. You know, the show is syndicated all over the world, and they're going to hear the fun we're having. So keep your hands. Okay, so let me see your hands at all times. Keep your hands visible.
I'm human. I am human.
All right. No, don't. That's what I don't think years ago when they said don't touch that dial. I don't think that's what they meant, but that's what it means now, right?
It does, really.
Okay. All right. So now that spring is in full bloom, and some say love is in the air, and the season's ripe for meeting someone special. For those who reach out to your site for the first time, let's hear some tips for creating a strong online profile.
For sure. First of all, I would say to perfect your tone. Obviously, try to come across in a conversational manner, like you're just sitting there talking to someone and you're trying to get to know them. Write in full sentences, but try to keep them short, just because you don't want it to read like some sort of resume. And then obviously reread it so that you're sure that it makes sense after you're done. Because when you're typing along and you're just like, oh, it sounds great, and then you reread it and you're like, what? So, for sure, perfect your tone, and come across, use your personality. You want people to, really kind of understand who you are, and just the vitality of your character.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's funny. It's very important that we be as authentic as possible, but we have to straddle the fine line between being real and oversharing, because I just did an interview for Bust magazine. Well, they actually asked me to write a column on how to create a profile, so I wrote the whole thing, and in there I was saying, you want to say something that's personal, that really gives a sense of your personality, as you were saying, like, I love to volunteer my time at a rescue shelter. Well, that really says a lot about who you are and what you like to do. But you don't want to overshare and say, and every Sunday I tend to have a bout of, diarrhea because I don't overshare. We don't go into too many details that we don't need to say, but you want to give information that is really very to the point about who you are, and it's going to give a sense of your personality. Right.
Absolutely. And on that topic, I mean, you definitely I like what you said there. Like for example, instead of saying, I enjoy traveling, I enjoy being outdoors, you could put them together and say I spent a week in Costa Rica last year surfing at the beach and zip lining in the forest. It really conveys a lot more interesting points about who you are, what you did, what you're passionate about, what you like doing, instead of just um, typical stuff that you might see in a profile.
Hmm.
Uh,
And then,
so
it's sort of like good writing in general. If you were to write a novel, you want to give concrete examples rather than just use vague adjectives. So a concrete example, that's excellent. Costa Rica trip, I'm an adventurer, instead of just saying I'm an adventurer. I like to
right,
travel. Right. It makes a complete difference. And the other thing that you really want to be careful about, I think you would agree, is to not paint the lily. That is, to make yourself something you're not, because people will. I read a study that said people will exaggerate their income, for example, or their success, and they will lower their weight by 10 pounds or something like that. But the thing is, all of these white lies that we do are always going to bite us in the butt after the fact, because when you meet, now somebody is falling in love with a mirage instead of the real you, or has
right.
fallen in love with a mirage instead of the real you. And then what happens when you meet and you find out, oh, well, gee, I am not that tall, or I am more heavy, or I am not so young. And then what?
And
So
then you're setting them up for disappointment,
you're
right? And nobody
you're
likes to be
screwed.
disappointed.
And then
Yeah.
I had a guy say to me once, he was talking about his online dating experience, and he said that the woman that came to the date was a completely different woman than the photograph, because she had posted a picture of her sister or her friend or something. And it was crazy, because she was embarrassed, I guess, about her appearance. And then he just said, "Look, you may be the nicest person in the world, but I will not date you because you're not honest."
Right.
And that was
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to lie about something so blatant, what else might you be willing to stretch the truth on? Is
Right,
kind
and
of
absolutely. And we're really talking on a deeper level of, if we're lying, it's because we're coming back to, I don't really like myself very much. I don't accept
right.
myself. So I'm not really ready to have a relationship. If I don't like me as I am, flaws and all, who am I going to attract? I'm going to attract somebody who will not show me love and respect because I don't feel that for myself. So, I mean, what do you talk on your site about how people can love themselves, warts, flaws, and all?
Absolutely, and those things are not necessarily a flaw in my book. I mean, it's owning your uniqueness, and it's really appreciating that that's what makes you the individual that you are. I mean, for the longest time, I hated that I had red hair. I was like, oh, I want to be like everybody else. They have beautiful brown hair, beautiful blonde hair, and I'm just this orange person. I felt like some sort of alien. And then it turns out that once I started accepting and loving myself for this is who I am, and if you don't like it, look, and I think I'm great. Then I started noticing people around me. They're like, oh, you have such beautiful hair, or you're, whatever, because it was that I accepted that about myself,
It
and
is
I love
true.
myself that.
It is true that what we feel is mirrored back to us. And one of the best ways that you can tell how you're doing in terms of your own self esteem is what gets reflected back to you. If people are critical of you or degrading of you, you are sending out some kind of a signal that you're not worthy of love or not worthy of respect. When you shift and you feel better about yourself, it's amazing how that mirrors back to you as well.
Yeah, yeah, and
Very,
if
very
you
true.
if you're not going to put yourself first, then it's kind of indicating to others that they shouldn't put you first either, right?
Mhm.
If you can't value yourself, why should anybody else value you?
It's true.
It's
It's
sad,
true.
but it's true.
Sad but true. I have a whole section in one of my books, Make Up, Don't Break Up, where I talk about how to raise what I call your personal net worth, which is your deepest sense of yourself. And if you, a lot of people don't realize how evil their self-talk is.
Yeah,
And just what you say to yourself can tear you down so badly and give an unconscious, unspoken, energetic license to other people that they can talk crap to you too, because you do it to yourself.
Yep.
And people will say, but I never said it out loud, but it's energetic. People just know. They
Hmm.
know. They
Well,
just know.
your body language too, right? Your body language speaks volumes. The way you carry yourself, the way
Hmm.
you handle a situation. I mean, do you step up or do you fall behind? Just
Hmm.
so many things convey that without you even realizing it.
Hmm. Hmm. So, you know, I'm thinking if we're not fully healed and we're all works in progress, one of the things that you could do with aligned signs is make sure to surround yourself first with warm, loving friends. Because as we're working to heal our own self-talk and our self-images and our self-esteems, surrounding yourself with very warm, loving friends is a very healing step.
Absolutely,
Very.
absolutely.
Hmm.
So let's get back to that tips for creating your online profile so that you can attract those friends and all those great people that you're going to be surrounding yourself by. I know that I kind of got distracted and I apologize, but so the next point that I wanted to make is that if you're going to put in jokes or anything like that in your profile, to just make sure that they are tasteful, because you never know how they're going to actually be perceived. In person, it might be really funny, but when you're conveying it online, it takes away the emotion sometimes, and it could come across as mean or just rude, and
It's a
just
very,
just
very
be
good point. Very good point, because I think it was Voltaire who said, the written word sticks, but the spoken word flies. So,
yes.
once it's written, baby, it's etched in stone, and you do know, and nobody has body language to go with your writing to know, gee, that was a joke. People might take it literally. So, yes, you have to be very careful with humor, and that's a really good point you raised.
Thank you. Yeah,
What
and
else?
so, for example, kind of going back to the sort of kind of the point that you made previously about sharing things online. Maybe don't share everything about yourself. Like, it's great to have goals and say you want to start a family or you want to have a house or this, that, and the other. Um, but eh, maybe wait until you actually meet the person in person and you get to know them a little bit better over the phone, because you don't want that other person to feel pressure, inadvertent pressure in getting to know you. The first objective is to, obviously understand who they are, listen, and then share. So if you put it all out there, it's like an unspoken expectation put on that other person, and you don't want to convey that.
Right. And one of the mistakes that women seem to make, because so many women are looking to get committed and married, so that they will bring up the M word too soon. How many kids do you want to have? Are you ready to get married? And it just can skunk people away from you, as opposed to just letting the relationship unfold and see where it goes. See if it's meant to be, and
Right.
uh, not trying to push the river and live too much in the future, pushing your future agenda, because doing so, coming out of the anxiety place of, well, gee, I'm afraid I'm going to be rejected, or I'm not going to get a commitment. And so, of course, when we act upon our fear and our anxiety, we bring about our worst fear. Yeah. Did I lose you
Right.
again? I've been traumatized now. I'm
Yeah, it's
acting on my fear.
no, I'm here.
Okay. Right.
I'm making sure you feel alive. You feel alive today.
No, testing, testing, testing. Is this real? Is it live? Is it memory? Right. Uh, Now,
No,
another
I'm
thing.
sorry.
No, it's all right. I'll be talking to my therapist a little later. It'll be all right. I'll get it over. I'll get all my trauma out. So now, what else in our profile? What else do we need to have? Or if we hit,
Stay away from overused language. Yeah, overused language.
like,
Like
you know
I'm
what I
down.
mean? You know what
Exactly.
you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And
Exactly. Down to earth. Down to earth. I love to laugh. I want a nice guy or girl. I love to travel. I'm laid back. I like to have a good time. I like to have fun. You
this
know,
is all boring stuff. Boring and
very
overused.
boring. It's generic. It doesn't really convey anything exceptional about you. And there's so many things that people might not realize is exceptional about you. Like maybe you have a certain skill set, or maybe you have a passion or a hobby or an interest that maybe you haven't had a chance to pursue, but you'd like to pursue. And maybe somebody on the website is already into that and loves to share. You just don't know.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, and a dating skill set. I dissect all my failed relationships and I bury them in the backyard. That,
that's a skill set.
there you go. That's a skill saw, I think. I need a skill saw, and then I'm going to take a brief break, and I'll be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio. Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf. I'm talking about love is in the air and how to spring clean your dating profile with Jessica Baker, founder and CEO of Aligned Signs. We're talking about how to spring clean the profile and what to keep and what to sweep out. And anything else that we need to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going back to the photo situation.
The photos.
Not just about age or weight, but also about revealing photos. Like it's important to entice someone in some ways to show, who you are and what you look like and all that stuff. But putting up things that might be inferred as sexually provocative, it can communicate, negative ideas about your intentions or who you are before the person actually gets to know you. So, yeah, to just refrain against those types of photos.
Those photos where women look like they have their two knees tucked up in their shirt and their cleavage goes up to their jaw,
Yes,
Yeah.
I do know those photos.
Yes. Women so often think that showing off body parts and presenting themselves as sexually seductive creatures is the actual thing that's needed to attract a partner, but it turns out, well, at least when you read studies about heterosexual males, you will hear men say, I don't like when women do that. I don't like when women reduce themselves to sex objects, and I don't like when they hit on me as though I am there to be used sexually, because it's degrading both of us. It's removing other elements, your heart, your soul, your intellect from the equation. It's just reducing me to an object too. I feel like I'm being played as a sex object when you play yourself that way. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I do. It's you're objectifying yourself and the situation. You're devaluing it, and there's other ways to show sensuality, and it might be instead of exposing your midriff or exposing your cleavage or your six-pack abs or whatever you want to do. Perhaps have wear a shirt that's I think there was a Marilyn Monroe quote that said, a lady will wear a shirt that's tight enough to know that she's a lady, but loose enough to know that she's a woman, or something along those lines. I should find that quote because it was a really great quote.
Tight enough to know she's a lady, but loose enough to know she's not. I think it might have been something like she's not trying to act like a hoe or something like that. It's.
I love your adjectives. Yes.
I try to use adjectives that are not the average run of the mill.
You're doing a great job.
There you go. So now there's another thing about the pictures too. It's good to show pictures that reveal your personality. So if you see me with friends or playing with my animals, things that are not just like, slut shots or, come on shots, but things that show who I am in my life, what I like to do. Right?
Right. Yeah, I would definitely suggest, for sure posting one headshot, like 3 to 5 photos is ideal, right? One headshot, one full body shot, full body, and one photo showing an interest or a hobby or a unique thing or something exciting that you found fascinating involving your life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then anything additional is great. So
now at Aligned Signs, do you actually have, it is like a dating site where you maintain profiles of men and women, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So, it sounds to me like you're doing something that other dating sites do not do. And I learned this the hard way because after my husband died a few years ago of a bee sting,
Oh
I
my
uh,
God.
I know. Wait till you hear the story. The whole story of my life with him in spirit form is coming out in my next Hay House book called Love Never Dies, and that's going to be out in August. And it's an amazing
Aw.
story. It's the most beautiful story, and I show others how to reconnect and, if needed, make peace with the deceased. And the thing is, when after a couple of years, I realized, I'm not going to meet anybody living in my house. I live on a dirt road in the country. So I'm going to have to do internet dating. And everybody
Well,
said,
maybe the mailman, but that's about it.
oh, believe me, the whale man has the hots for me. He definitely does. Yeah, I swear to God, last night the door, there was a knock on the door, and I'm just about to start a group, and I reach out for the package, and he says, "Always a pleasure." Oh, no, no, this is not good. This is not good. But anyway, so where were we? Oh yeah, so the profile. Uh, I had to go and put profiles on different sites because if I was going to do it, there was no other way. I got to create a profile, and what I discovered was that a lot of these dating sites actually put out fake profiles of men who are very attractive or women who are very attractive, and they do it as a come on to get you to sign up for the dating site. Did you know that?
I did know that. I know that people do that, and I think it's messed up
It's
because
so messed up. It's so messed up because I, Dr. Love, was thinking, wait a minute, this is starting to really hurt my self-esteem. When, if I wink at somebody and he doesn't respond and nobody was responding until I found out they weren't even real people. So, this could do real damage to somebody's self-esteem.
yeah,
They're
absolutely.
and they do it to plump up the because apparently when they're buying these dating sites, they buy them with a certain number of these fake pictures and profiles just to get started, to get the ball rolling so that they're not an empty dating site. But people don't know that. And so many people could have their self-esteems hurt so badly.
Yeah, that's not good. It's not
Not
good. When
not
I
good.
first started this site, I obviously was very passionate about it, and I went to all my family and friends, and they were excited about the idea, and we just continued to share. And initially it was really hard, just because it's all about building awareness and getting the word out. Because if you don't know what's there, then it's hard to you just don't know to look for it. And I think even though the growth was a little bit slower initially, it's much better than leading people on and making them feel bad. And it's just,
It's
I don't like to
awful.
feel like that, and I don't want anybody else to feel like that. So
Awful, awful, awful. So, all right. So
yeah.
where were we? So we're talking more now. Are we done with the profile? Have we put everything we need and we've got good pictures? Do we
I
do
think so. I think,
professional photos or do we take casual snapshots? Which do you recommend?
I mean, obviously, the three that were mentioned, ideally, the one that's unique would be one that would be casual, right? That shows your interest or hobby or what have you. If you want to do a professional headshot, that's fine. Just to, sometimes lighting or what have you, when it comes to certain cameras, are not always as clear. So when it comes to headshot and somebody wants to see your face, it might be a good idea to do professional. Um, Everything else can be casual, though.
Mm,
I mean, you're just trying to convey who you are, and ideally, I mean, nowadays with our phones and with great cameras, it's just, it's not hard to have a really photogenic image to put up there, and
mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't
All
have to
right.
pay a lot of money. You could get a really good a friend that has a nice steady hand and some beautiful nature-esque sun, and you'll be good to go.
All
That would
right.
work.
All
Yeah.
right. So now we have our profile done and our photos are finished. So what happens now on your site when people have found somebody that they like? Are they chatting on your site? Are they doing a chat window where they're sort of emailing or texting back and forth through the site?
Yes, so you can email. Obviously, you've connected with the person. You can add a connection request like you would on Facebook or any other place. You stay in contact with them. When when you feel comfortable, you possibly could do a phone call or a Skype call, to just really, instead of taking that next step and meeting them directly in person where it doesn't feel as much like a blind date. You can truly see who they are, get to know them a little bit better. Obviously, try to keep it short so you have lots of stuff to talk about, but just really introduce yourself. And ideally, before you meet them in person, you get a full name, so if you want, you can Google them. I don't think it's a bad thing to Google someone just to play on the safe side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're not ready to communicate via phone, maybe exchange, an updated photo. Obviously, with our email system, you can upload attachments or whatever and send another photo, ideally just to show that, I have multiple photos of me and I'm not hiding anything. And then you do the call, and when and if you're comfortable, you decide to meet the person face to face.
Okay. So now, Jessica, I had so much experience with online dating before I knew about your site, and a lot of con men came my way. They recognized me from
Yep.
TV, knew me
Oh,
from
wow.
website. So I was like a really big target for con men. And so I actually categorized all the things that con men do. I wrote a book, I haven't published it yet, called Dr. Love's True Adventures in Online Dating. Where I describe, everything I went through. And one of the things that I discovered everybody has to be wary of is prolonged phone conversations where the person is trying to form a connection with you and the relationship where they are a blank screen and you can project all kinds of feelings and develop all kinds of attachment and intensity. So it's very important to meet fast, as quickly as possible. Have, one short call. If it feels right, meet. Because people get into a lot of danger with scammers, emotional attachment, getting financially taken by being on the phone too long. Do you
Mhm.
agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I think Skype is a really good way to see if the person's photos are real without too much commitment, and going out of your way, and you kind of get an idea of their body language. So if somebody's trying to ask you, for financials or what have you immediately, then just it's not a good idea. If they don't want to
Exactly.
Skype with you, if they don't want to Skype with you, or they don't want to, chat with you, over the internet, or it's
Something's
it's
fishy.
yes, something's fishy.
Right,
Exactly,
right, because
exactly.
either they don't match their photo, it's fake, or sometimes even the scammers would get on a chat, but they don't want to meet you because then they just have no intention of meeting you. So
Exactly.
if they're not going to meet you fast, if they don't want to show their face, be wary. So in the
Mhm.
last couple of minutes, I want to make sure everybody knows how to find you.
Okay.
And okay,
Okay, that's great.
go for it.
It's at alignsigns.com, ALIGNEDSIGNS.com. And we're also on Facebook at Follow Align Signs and Twitter, Align Signs. So come on over, take a look around, enjoy yourself. Yeah, if
It sounds
you, it's great
it,
stuff.
it
We
sounds like
are,
fun.
yeah, it is fun. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to sign up today, then you can get our special promo code ASLITE, ASLITE, and you get 1 month for free. Exciting!
Wait. AS makes me think of ass light.
Oh,
That's not what you mean. It's just ass without the second S, right?
yes! I
Right.
didn't think about it like
Yeah, I
that.
was just thinking that way because women go there. Is my ass lighted up? It's just where women
We're gonna have
go.
to change that promo code. Note to
No,
self.
no. I think that it will work because everyone will remember it now since Dr. Love said ass light. You've been a,
Thank you, Dr.
you've
Love.
been so much fun. I've had so much fun. Do you want to just in the last minute, or well, I just a quick little success story? Do you have? Well, I wish I did. Well, you'll just have to come back because we're running out of time. But
Okay.
you'll come back and we'll hear some more of your success stories. And just next week, I want everybody to know that Keisha Ewers of Healthy You Radio Network is going to be the guest on my show, and we're going to have a lot of interesting conversation. She's an author and an alternative health practitioner as well as therapist, so that'll be interesting. So thank you so much, Jessica, for being with me, and check out alignsigns.com, and I'll see you next week on Ask Dr. Love Radio. And remember, be real. That's how you will steal his or her heart. See you next week on Ask Dr. Love. Bye-bye.
Bye.